Hi, hello, welcome to Spell Day. We're covering a spell every single day of the year from the 5e PHB +3. Those special spells are homebrew spells. We're +3 already. I don't know, I've got so used to saying +1 or +2, but we're already at the +3. Seems redundant to mention it. Anywho, today's spell is Wall of Ice. 6th level evocation, casting time of 1 action, range of 120 feet, components verbal somatic material, a small piece of quartz. Duration, concentration, up to 10 minutes. You can create a wall of ice on a solid surface within range. You can form it into a hemispherical dome or sphere with a radius of up to 10 feet, or you can shape a flat surface made up of 10 10-foot square panels. Each panel must be contiguous with the other panel in any form. The wall is 1 foot thick and lasts for the duration. If the wall cuts through a creature's space when it appears, the creature within the area is pushed to one side of the wall and must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 10d6 cold damage, or half as much damage on a successful one. The wall is an object that can be damaged and thus breached. It has AC 12 and 30 hit points per 10-foot section, and is vulnerable to fire damage. Reducing a 10-foot section of wall to 0 hit points destroys it. It leaves behind a sheet of frigid air in the space the wall occupied. A creature moving through the sheet of frigid air for the first time on a turn must make a Constitution saving throw. The creature takes a 5d6 cold damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 7th level or higher, the damage the wall deals when it appears increases by 2d6, and the damage from passing through the sheet of frigid air increases by 1d6 for each slot level above 6th. Huh. An upcast that actually increases dice by 2. Okay, so this is a fun one. It actually makes an object breach. Piece of quartz is cheap. 6th level kind of hurts it a bit, but for the various things you can stack up, might be worth it. So, while this does actually have to be attached to something physical as a base, where Wall of Force didn't, this can still be shaped wildly like Wall of Force into a sphere, into various planes, angle it through the different 10-foot by 10-foot panels. So you've got a lot of freedom and flexibility to be able to adjust that. The damage, though, is on the initial casting, mostly, and then once they breach it, because once you leave it, it actually leaves a physical structure. AC 12, so it's not just guaranteed to be hit, but then 30 health, not the highest, but not the worst. But that's for each 10-foot section, so that opens quite a bit in the wall. Not to mention where, Wall of Fire didn't have a physical barrier, it was opaque. You couldn't see and shoot through it. Once you break down the physical wall, the frigid air isn't opaque. You can shoot through that. And vulnerable to fire damage, which is relatively common in a lot of damage spells. But it's actually cool to see some elemental effects. Upcasting as well increases the damage when walking through it gives you. Though you actually make a save, it's not guaranteed like with the Wall of Fire. So again, you're mostly doing this for the physical barrier and the fact you can shape it a lot more than you could with Wall of Fire. So, with this, if you're in a hallway or some kind of tight corridor, zigzag it. Now they have multiple layers of barriers to breach and then multiple layers of frigid cold to go through, which will add up quite a bit even if passing the saves. Though as other people pointed out, and when it comes to your regular guard or soldier with 11 health or a commoner with 4, they're not surviving this. The 5d6 alone is, on just walking through it, is guaranteed. Not guaranteed, as in like it's, if they fail that save, that's more than the commoner's health at base if you roll all ones. So again, a battlefield spell, especially since you can orient it around groups of people, so even if they're not taking the initial damage, which is a decent amount, 10d6, I mean, at this level, it's not that much, but it's for the after effect and the physical barrier that you leave. That's the upcast. Or the level. So driving down a wall of ice through a regiment of soldiers walking across a battlefield. And even if they break down the barrier, if you angled it correctly, they're still going to take damage. There's still a lingering effect of frigid blizzard in that area. So really, it's like a line spell that leaves a barrier behind it, and, well, I mean, the fact you can zigzag it all around changes that, but cutting Glacier just appearing out of nowhere, freezing people to death in the middle of it, or stabbing them with icicles, and then even when you break it, there's a blizzard in its space that's sustaining it for those 10 minutes. That's where that kicks in. The fact that the frigid air lasts for 10 minutes. So on an open field, it might not be the most valuable. In hallways, being able to leave multiple layers of that frigid air for 10 minutes, oh, nasty, that's nasty. They're not going through that if they want to live. 6 out of 10. It's namely that for the fact that in its best case scenario, it needs to be in a specific location and on an open battlefield. While not the worst, it was worth a 6th level spell slot. Because you're going to have to zigzag, and depending on how you can zigzag, a fireball just might be better on a certain group upcast at the 6th level for that initial damage if you don't think you're going to get any damage of them running through it. Though if you need a physical barrier to pop up for just a brief moment, it's not the worst, but it's not the best. Still, better than average, 6 out of 10. Cool theming, though. Cool theming.